Baseball's postseason begins today in St. Louis as the Cardinals, with the best record in the game, host the upstart Padres, the first game of the division series. It's all coming up next, and it's all available in high definition.
The following is a special presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
Program.
Scorecard program.
Tonight's program.
Best ninth-inning team in all of baseball.
The pretenders are gone. Left 8 teams, each feeling they've got a shot to win it all.
30 seconds.
Stand by, guys. Here we go.
This is the moment many of these players have been dreaming about since they first started playing.
Cardinals' best record in baseball.
What did it get them? A sweep in the World Series. This year, the Cardinals will be bringing the broom.
More than a series, this is the next step for St. Louis in a long road to redemption that began after last year's sweeping loss to Boston. The team with the best record in baseball and some of the biggest names is after the biggest prize.
They've overcome injuries and slumps, yet here they are. But they know their greatest challenge still lies ahead.
Play ball.
It's Major League Baseball's National League Division Series presented by Budweiser. Bright blue skies overhead at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. A beautiful day for a ball game and a sea of red. That's the Cardinals' custom. Cardinals wear red and their fans do the same. Feels like July. Temperatures in the high 80s as the San Diego Padres, champions of the National League West, meet the St. Louis Cardinals, champions of the Central. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, and welcome. And here we go again. 2005 postseason play, and we have a prohibitive favorite. The Cardinals and the Padres. No way the Cardinals can lose to the Padres. The Padres don't have a prayer. There's some scattered clouds that have come in the area now as the Cardinals take the field. Chris Carpenter heads out to the mound. Yadier Molina, his battery mate, to home plate. Albert Pujols over to first base. Bruce Bochy, meanwhile, brings his Padres in here. And as always, this is only the 4th time the Padres have ever been in the postseason. They were born as an expansion team in 1969, and they are always an underdog in these postseason tournaments, although they have turned the tables a couple of times and gone all the way to the World Series. Here's the Padres batting order. It'll be Dave Roberts in center field, and he can make things happen. Ryan Klesko, left field. He's been getting a lot of walks, not hitting home runs, so he's in the number 2 spot. Mark Loretta is at second base, normally the number 2 hitter. It'll be Brian Giles hitting cleanup, 15 homers, and led the club with 83 RBIs and led the league in walks. Mark Sweeney against the right-handers had a very potent season. He's at first base. Ramon Hernandez, and he was hot down the stretch after spending a lot of the year on the disabled list. An RBI man for them down the stretch. Khalil Green, when healthy, one of the best shortstops in the league, 70 RBIs. Joe Randa, acquired near the trading deadline from the Cincinnati Reds. He's got some power. And Jake Peavy, the 24-year-old right-hander, on the mound up against Chris Carpenter. And Carpenter, 21-5, one of the best pitchers in the National League all year.
Well, Carpenter, you know, he's one of the leading candidates for the Cy Young Award. He has a heavy sinker, good cutter, and a good breaking ball. His key is, you know, when the Cardinals cinched the championship, he kind of felt like he lost a little of his edge, but he's going to turn it up today again, get it back and let it go. But the one thing he did do, he had a little back problem also in September, so we'll have to see how that works. And remember, this is the first time he started in a playoff game, too. Last year, he was injured when the Cardinals made their run to the World Series.
Yeah, and that really hurt them in the final analysis, especially in the World Series. And there's a strike call to Dave Roberts. Roberts, the protege of Maury Wills, the great base stealer, the man who changed the game back in the early 60s with the Dodgers. And then he changed that postseason series with the Yankees last year as a pinch runner. In Game 4, when the Red Sox were on the verge of extinction, he came in when the whole world knew he had to steal a bag. If he did not make it, the Red Sox season likely over. But he did make it, and then eventually scored the tying run, and they won that ball game to stay alive and never lost again. Not in that series with the Yankees, not in the World Series with the Cardinals. Now Roberts trying to make something happen for the San Diego Padres, his hometown team. When he signed in San Diego, he was coming home. He grew up in San Diego, grew up a Padres fan. A curveball lined into right field, but there is Walker.
There you take a look at the Cardinals defensively.
And defense in the Cardinals, I mean, you think about their pitching, it's always solid. Their lineup is solid. You got great stars. But not many teams play better defense than do the St. Louis Cardinals, as Ryan Klesko takes a called strike. Klesko 18 homers, most of them early this year. And that curveball a little bit high.
Well, the one thing I've noticed so far is his curveball is not as sharp as he would like. He's hung two of them. He hung the one to Dave Roberts. He hit it hard to right field. And that one. But that's the cutter, and that's moving very well. That seems to be his best pitch so far in the first inning here.
And that cutter, a key pitch for Carpenter, and he said that he lost the release point for that down the stretch, where he got knocked around his last 4 starts. And another curveball, Joe, that was not the hammer.
No.
2-2.
But you have to keep throwing it because you could get a feel for it at any point in the game. You have to try to use all your pitches so that you can keep the rhythm that you had earlier in the season.
Just inside, and the fans thought it was over.
Well, the one thing you have to remember, you got Klesko, you got Giles. They will not swing at a lot of bad pitches when they are ahead in the count. They will when they're behind in the count. At least Klesko will. And you could see Molina pull that ball. And that's the one thing you have to be careful of, is walking some of these Padres. Even though there are guys that you think can hit the ball out of the ballpark, they are very patient hitters at the plate, meaning Klesko and Giles.
Well, you know, you always think of Klesko as being a big slugger, but really, right now, the walk is the best part of his game on offense. And that's why he's hitting the number 2 spot. He's been getting a lot of walks there. So now Klesko aboard, and here is Loretta. Loretta had an outstanding year, a great year last year. That's a called strike to him, and it's 0-1. This year, another story. He also hit hard with injuries, and look at that, only 3 home runs all year long, a .280 average. But he's in the number 3 spot, which tells you something about this Padres lineup.
Well, one of the reasons that they struggle was Loretta and Khalil Green not being in there on a daily basis.
To the count to Loretta with Brian Giles on deck. 1 out. Klesko, the runner at first. Klesko had only 3 steals during the season. There's Loretta, been around a long time, is one of the top second basemen in the league when healthy. And that's a ball inside.
Well, one of the things that Chris Carpenter does very well is he holds runners, and he's quick to the plate. So you're not going to see a lot of players take liberties with him and try to steal. Dave Roberts, of course, will try. But if you're not a base stealer, you're not going to try to steal bases off Chris Carpenter.
That is foul. Right over to Rob Piccolo, the third base coach. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. As Chris Carpenter tries to find himself here in the first inning. Now, you go back into June, July, August, and it was not unusual to see Carpenter throwing that fastball 93 to 95 miles an hour. But so far, he's about 89 or so most of the time with that fastball. That one is fouled away. 1-2. I suppose by this time of the year, a lot of guys have lost a little something off that fastball.
There's no doubt that, you know, he's at 240 innings. I mean, you're going to lose a little bit off the fastball. I remember the great Bob Gibson said to me once, he said, I make 36, 37 starts a year. I only feel good in about 12 of them.
Curveball, and that one a little high and inside.
Another bad pitch with the curveball, another hanging breaking ball. But he needs his curveball in order to feel comfortable out there on the mound, so that's why he keeps throwing it. And again, he's going to have to keep throwing it. And all of a sudden, you'll find one arm slot, and it'll fall into place for you. But if you're the Padres, what you're looking at from the dugout, you're saying, well, he's not getting his curveball over. I'm going to sit on fastball cutter or something like that. It helps you eliminate one pitch out of his arsenal if you want to. But when you get 2 strikes, of course, you have to just hit what you see.
2-2 the count. And the fastball is high and tight at 90 miles an hour, and it's a full count now.
And this is, again, see, if you're the hitter, you realize he's not going to throw me a curveball here. I've just got to look for something hard, fastball or a cutter. He's not going to come with a curveball. And I think this is the kind of situation where if you're Bruce Bochy, you have to send Klesko, because you can't just beat these guys straight up offensively. You've got to try to make some things happen.
There he goes. And Loretta with a high fly ball to center. Edmonds. And that is out number 2. Brian Giles coming up. Let's go down to Gary Miller.
John, if any Padres were still left in the clubhouse, they probably heard you echo the national sentiment. They have no prayer in this game, but they're aware of all that almost nobody has picked them. But they have a quiet confidence about them. They won 3 out of 4 here back in May. They have a season series advantage over the Cardinals this year. They were in first place for 139 days. They've answered every challenge they've had to get in these last few weeks, and they clinched a lot later than St. Louis. If they can steal one of these first 2 games, it changes everything.
All right, thanks, Gary. And that's very true. And remember, back in May, as Brian Giles takes a strike, they beat everybody, the Cardinals and everybody else that was in their way. They were 22-6 in May. And when sinks down in a way, 1 ball, 1 strike to Giles. And Joe, he's the big man in the lineup, but 15 home runs is all for Giles this year.
Well, he's a different type hitter now. He's not the slugger he was in Pittsburgh. And I've seen him take a lot more pitches now than he did before when he's ahead in the count.
Popped up, foul, and that will go out of play.
I've seen him take a lot of 2-0 fastballs, 3-1 fastballs for strike when he didn't really do that before. You know, a lot of people have a misconception about why hitters walk. Well, you walk trying to hit. You don't walk trying to walk. And he's not one of those guys that goes up there saying, I'm going to look for a walk. But he goes up there looking for a pitch that he can drive, and if he doesn't get it, he ends up taking a lot of pitches.
Klesko, the runner at first. Shortstop, Eckstein, almost right up the middle. Curveball, strike 3 call.
Finally gets a great break on the curveball. Like I say, you got to keep throwing it.
23 pitches for Carpenter, but the Cardinals, big right-hander keeps the Padres off the board. The Cardinals coming up. A beautiful day here in St. Louis, a summertime kind of a day. The Padres nothing, and the Cardinals are coming up now in Game 1 of this National League Division Series. And let's take a look at Tony La Russa's batting order now as Jim Edmonds is getting ready. It'll be David Eckstein. He finished the season on a roll. He's at shortstop, 294. Jim Edmonds, his lowest average in many years, but 29 home runs. Albert Pujols, another monster season for Big Albert. It'll be Larry Walker. He's back in there. Had a couple of home runs in a game over the weekend. Reggie Sanders is back in. He was having a great year and missed a couple of months with an injury. Mark Grudzielanek hit 294. He's at second base. Abraham Nunez done a very fine job filling in for the injured Scott Rowland. Yadier Molina facing Mike Matheny this year. Catch and did a great job, and Carpenter is the pitcher. And here we go. Eckstein against Jake Peavy, and he takes a called strike. Left field, going back on the ball, and under it is Klesko. So Eckstein is gone.
Well, Peavy led the league in strikeouts this year. Throws a heavy sinker. I mean, he's got great stuff. I mean, on any given day, he's as good a pitcher as anyone in the National League. So that's why I say he's the key to their chances of winning this playoff. I think he's got to win 2 games or at least beat Carpenter in one of those games, and his team wins the other one. If he doesn't win 2 games in this series, I don't think that the Padres will win the series. But he's very capable of winning 2 games.
Jim Edmonds looks at a called strike.
And I tell you one other thing. I don't think the Padres are intimidated. You know, you talk to them and you look in their eyes. They're not intimidated by the Cardinals.
Well, they did win the season series for the Cardinals.
Yeah, you know, I don't put much stock in that, John, to be honest with you. That was during the playoffs, and like you said, that was during a run when they were 22-6. They were beating everybody, and then they got to a point where they couldn't beat anybody. So, you know, you have so many ups and downs during the season, but when you match this team up right away, and
that's in deep left center. Klesko back, all the way back to the wall. Gone! A home run! And the Cardinals strike first. Jim Edmonds to the opposite field. 1-0 St. Louis.
I talked to Jim Edmonds in the tunnel before he actually took batting practice, and he said his real concern was his front shoulder, the front arm. He said extending it might be a problem for him, and you can see he likes to extend his arm through the hitting zone. He said right now he could extend it, but, you know, it's his front shoulder, so he said he wasn't sure how much leverage he could get, but he got a lot on that one.
Albert Pujols on a one-strike pitch has grounded out to Khalil Green. So Albert is very quickly retired. 2 down, and here comes Larry Walker. Walker is hitting the ball well enough there at the end of the year that he's in the number 4 spot.
But I think he's in the number 4 spot for a couple of reasons, John. He's a very smart hitter. He knows how to get a pitch to hit. He knows how to adjust to what the pitcher's doing. And he's a left-handed hitter to hit behind Albert Pujols. So, I mean, I think Larry Walker's a perfect 4th-place hitter if he's healthy, and he seems to be right now. And he says to me in the playoffs, he said, I only have to be healthy for 11 more victories.
Hard breaking ball to Walker, strike 1. Canadian likely will retire after this postseason, and he takes a called strike from Peavy.
And that's Jake Peavy at his best right there. Hard breaking ball down and in to a left-hander, and then a good tailing fastball away. And that's not just a sinking fastball. That fastball is a exploding fastball with a lot of movement.
0-2 the count. And that's in there. Strike 3 called, and Walker knew it. But Jim Edmonds has given the Cardinals the lead here with a quick strike. An opposite field home run. His 7th division series home run. 1-0. The National League Division Series. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Gary Miller also here with us. And Jim Edmonds has given the Cardinals a 1-0 lead with his opposite field home run. For Jim Edmonds, this is his 5th division series experience. And he has homered in every division series in which he's played.
Let's take a look at this swing. Now, right here, this is where he's got a problem in his shoulder, so he can't extend and pull it around. But what he does is he goes the other way, and Jim Edmonds is one of those guys that can go the other way as well as anyone. In fact, he's got a lot of power the other way, and so expect him to hit the ball the other way today, simply because his front shoulder bothers him when he tries to pull around and hit the ball to right field.
Mark Sweeney leads off for the Padres here. And Sweeney, a veteran professional hitter, most known as a top pinch hitter, pinch hit specialist, but as the season went along, Padres were looking for bats, and he became one of their most potent bats, playing almost primarily against, or almost exclusively against, right-handed pitching.
We're going to show you another look here of Jim Edmonds in a moment, and just watch how his front side, he keeps the right shoulder from pulling off the ball. That helps you to hit, first of all, but it really helps him with a sore shoulder.
Albert Pujols, safe! And Pujols is unhappy and gets into the face of Bill Hahn. And here comes Tony La Russa. Sweeney hustled up the line and beat it out, and La Russa now gets into the face of Hahn, and Yadier Molina trying to keep Pujols away from Hahn.
Well, what happened was Pujols was about to throw the ball to Carpenter. Then he realized, well, I better take it myself. And watch this. He's going to throw it, and then he decides to go. And, you know, from that angle, you can't really tell. But from up here, it appeared that Pujols beat the play. You see, he was going to throw it. Then he goes after it, and he is out. And watch his front foot hits before his foot hits. In fact, Pujols hits the bag and rolls over the bag before Sweeney hits the bag. Now watch Pujols hits the bag right there. Now here comes Sweeney. So it wasn't even that close.
So that is the first hit for the Padres, an infield hit. I mean, do you think Carpenter was late covering? Why didn't Albert just toss the ball to Carpenter?
Well, he didn't like the angle. He was coming at an angle. See, one job of a pitcher is to run toward first base, but then run down the foul line, parallel to the foul line to cover the bag. And he was still coming at an extreme angle,
which could put him in harm's way. He could collide with that runner.
He could collide with the runner. It's also a tougher toss.
Ramon Hernandez, and that one.
Well, it appeared that he lost it.
It looked like he lost it in the sun somehow, or in a white shirt maybe. I thought all the shirts were red shirts, though.
Well, the ball was right at him, meaning Eckstein, and then all of a sudden, now watch this, it's right to him. He's about to catch it, and then you see him kind of duck his head. Unless the ball takes off, but they're going to score as an error. I love day baseball, but there are some problems as far as, sun, fields, and shirts in the background. A lot of these things come into play in the day game.
Now the ball hit by Khalil Green. There's Jim Edmonds in left center, tagging and bluffing toward third with Sweeney, and Edmonds with a strike to third.
And let's make no mistake about it. Umpires feel the pressure of a playoff as well as the players themselves, and sometimes we'll see some mistakes throughout the playoffs.
Bill Hahn, the first base umpire, and broiled in some controversy. Ed Montague, a long-time umpire. Yeah, he's back at the plate. Bruce Dreckman at second, Jerry Lane at third, Angel Hernandez along left field, and Tim Timmons along the right field line. Joe Randa, curveball that buckled his knees as it dropped in there for a strike.
So that's one of his big pitches, and he was able to use that to strike Giles out in the first inning, and that gave him confidence to throw it. But you have to give he and Molina credit because they continued to throw the curveball throughout the first inning until he got it right.
Another curve, and Montague thought it was a little bit high. One ball, one strike. Joe Randa spent most of the year with the Cincinnati Reds. Hit a home run on opening day right here on ESPN to beat the New York Mets. But eventually went to the Padres, and now here he is in the postseason. Fastball missing inside, and it is 2-1. I'm just trying to, it must have been a shirt for the shortstop Eckstein, because the sun is out sort of behind the right field foul pole at this point.
Well, it definitely wasn't the sun.
Now it's 2-2.
Well, we know that Carpenter can turn the fastball loose, especially when he gets it up. And we see Randa go up after this pitch. Good high fastball, and he can't catch up with it.
Our radar gun had it 92 miles an hour. That's a little faster than most of his fastballs in that first inning. Eckstein has it. The second one. Back to first. Eckstein begrudges a lot to Albert Pujols. Controversy or not, the Padres do not score. Game one of the National League Division Series, and the Cardinals here at Busch Stadium at home with a 1-0 lead on Jim Edmonds' first inning home run. We mentioned how Edmonds now playing in his 5th division series, and he has hit at least one home run in all of those division series. Today's his 16th division series game, and he's hit 7 home runs in those 16 games. So not so surprising. In fact, only one National League hitter has ever hit more homers in a division series than Edmonds, as Reggie Sanders swings and doesn't get it on a slider. And that was the man with more homers than Edmonds is the Atlanta Braves' Chipper Jones, who will get underway tomorrow at home as the Braves will host Houston. Reggie Sanders was having what looked like it might have been his best year, at least the way he started. And then he got hurt in a kind of a freak injury. He ran into Jim Edmonds going for a ball in the outfield. And Tony La Russa said that he really just kind of seemed to find his swing the last, what, 10 days or so.
Well, I talked to Hal McRae, who was the hitting instructor, and he said the reason he thought he was having his best year was just confidence. And, you know, he would come to Hal and talk through things when he would struggle at all. And they seemed to hit it off perfectly, and you know, everything worked well for them. And, you know, that, and a lot of people may not realize if you can have a great rapport with your hitting instructor, I mean, it makes a big difference. If he feels like he can say anything to you anytime and vice versa, then it's a good relationship.
Reggie Sanders down, chasing the high hard one from Peavy. Second strikeout for Peavy. One away. This is the injury and how it happened back on July 15th. And really, when you got a guy like Sanders and Jim Edmonds out, there's like two center fielders. There is Dave Roberts getting to that one, hit by Grudzielanek. 2 down. Now Abraham Nunez will come up. Jake Peavy, who has not pitched since a week ago yesterday. He faced San Francisco, went 8 strong innings, only gave up a run in a big head-to-head confrontation. That ball is slapped into left field, a base hit for Nunez.
Well, we see Jake Peavy every once throw that good sinking fastball, and there it is, down and away. And if you try to do anything with this ball other than what Nunez does, you're going to ground out someplace because you're going to pull it and not hit it as hard. He just slaps it through the left side of the infield. That's a tough pitch, but it was good hitting on Nunez's part.
And the Cardinals as a group have been very aggressive against Peavy so far. Nunez was the 7th hitter, and he's only thrown 16 pitches. Here is Yadier Molina, the 8th place hitter, and that's just off the outside for a ball. Peavy last year led the National League in ERA. This year he led the league in strikeouts, even though he had some rib cage and back problems that caused him to miss a handful of starts.
Well, what that tells you is the point is this guy can be as good as anybody in baseball on any given day. I mean, he is one of the premier pitchers in the game. So when he's on his game, I mean, he can shut down anyone.
216 strikeouts in only 203 innings. And that's a called strike with a breaking ball.
And the bothers right-handers a lot because he's got a little herky-jerky motion there. You know, it's not easy to read the ball out of his hand.
One and one the count. Another breaking ball into the hole. Khalil Green bops, picks it up, and still gets it. Yadier Molina has got the catcher's legs there. 1 hit, 1 left. On to the 3rd. 1-0 Cardinals. With Joe Morgan and Gary Miller, this is John Miller. And here we are at Busch Stadium. And right next door, the new Busch Stadium. And it's starting to really look like a ballpark now. It won't be fully completed until after this ballpark gets torn down, because part of the new ballpark will encroach on what is now this ballpark. Inside to Jake Peavy from Chris Carpenter. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It was interesting they do that. A couple of years ago when Cincinnati built a new ballpark, they were building into the left field seats, you know, during the season.
They actually took down part of Riverfront Stadium. This is where the left field foul pole will be in the new ballpark.
And this is where we are now in right field present ballpark over here.
So the left field foul pole will be really, and left field will be in what is now right field, in the right field corner in this ballpark. Jake Peavy hit 189, not bad for a pitcher, and a hanging curveball misses. So tried to put him away with the hook, missed with it. 2-2 the count.
And you see, I mean, he's still a little erratic with the breaking ball, but as long as he's throwing it, they will have to honor the fact that he has one.
And the slider, the slide piece, struck him out. Dave Roberts comes up now. Let's go down to Gary Miller.
John, Dave Roberts, a huge part of this offense. When he plays, they're 15 games over 500 if he's able to start. He's been battling leg problems all his career, and especially this year. He's only played 101 games. He told me the biggest problem is starting on that ball like he did in the gap there, and also breaking out of the box. Obviously, you're not going to steal a lot on Carpenter.
And another lined shot by Dave Roberts. The first one caught by Larry Walker in right field. This one, a clean single to right.
And make sure we understand something. I didn't say he couldn't steal off Carpenter. I said guys that steal bases can. But if you're not a base stealer, you can't steal off of him. There's a good sinking fastball, but it's not low enough, and Roberts just hammers it to right field. Nice, solid swing. I mean, I think if you're Dave Roberts, your job is to steal bases. You have to figure a way to steal a base off of Carpenter. And there's no better time to try to find out than early in the ball game. So if you get later into the game, you'll know what you have to do or whether you can or not.
Well, there has only been one base stolen against Carpenter in the last 2 years.
Well, you see what he does. I mean, he comes set, boom, he goes, and he's quick. But if you're a guy that steals bases, you have to figure what that rhythm is. You have to figure it out yourself and anticipate and go with him.
And Yadier Molina is also a weapon behind the plate. Got a quick release and a strong arm. Klesko into right field, a base hit. And Roberts will stop at second base. So 2 men on, and Mark Loretta coming up.
And good job by Klesko to use the hole over there on the right side. Anytime you're a left-handed hitter and they're holding that runner on, anything inside or a sinker, just go ahead and pull it. I mean, you're going to get the ball through the hole 90% of the time if you hit it on the ground. Because the second baseman is closer to second base, as you can see, not even in the picture for the double play, and it leaves a big area over there on the right. And John, make no mistake about it, I think you can steal a base off anyone if you work at it and know what you're doing. I don't think anybody can stop you from stealing a base unless they balk.
All right, well, that comes from a man who stole 689 in his big league career.
Not just that, but I mean, you can read a guy and figure out what he's trying to do.
See, I'm willing to concede that maybe you know something about it.
Well, I'm watching Carpenter right now, and but there's a rhythm to what he does, and you have to figure out what that rhythm is.
So have you figured it out?
Yeah, but I'm not going to steal a base because somebody have to run for me.
Yeah, your knees.
No, I know when to break on him, but you'd have to have more than that. But again, I mean, if you work at what you do, if you work at your trade, it's like saying the guy's unhittable. No pitcher's unhittable. You have to adjust to what he's doing.
Loretta 0-1 the count. He flied to center his first time. Now last year this is just the perfect spot where they want to have Loretta up. Right. I mean, he was great in the clutch and just great all around. Had some pop, a lot of extra base hits. He hit some homers, hit about 335. This year it's been another story. Loretta really just a singles hitter, and his average is all the way down 280 this year. But a base hit is all they need right now. That's foul past Piccolo. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Giles on deck. And the 2 at bats so far, I mean, the fastball in is eating Loretta up. He hasn't been able to get the barrel out to the ball. Well, the Padres are getting their chances here early on against Carpenter. I mean, they had first and second, nobody out in the second, and made nothing out of it. First and second, 1 out here, and the big hitter's up. Well, you see the fastball in, he can't handle it so far. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count to Loretta. Brian Giles, the cleanup hitter, on deck. 1-0, the Cardinals lead. Padres are going to have to start getting some clutch hits here, because they can't just sit around waiting for somebody to hit the long ball. Curveball just outside. And again, that's one of the problems the Padres have had during this past season, and that is that, I mean, you gotta produce when you get the runners in scoring position, because you don't always get a lot of them in if you look at the Padres as a team. But they're always capable of getting hot. Fastball too high. Now maybe we'll see some guys in motion here. I would say no, even though you got Dave Roberts at second base.
But, you know, we'll see. This will tell us a lot about how Bochy's going to play it. I knew he would send the guy in the first inning from first base. But I don't know whether he'll send the runner from second, even though it's Dave Roberts. I think it's a good idea, but we'll see.
There they go. And Loretta fouls one back out of play.
See, I think it's a good idea to just put as much pressure as you can on the other team when you get in these positions or these situations. But, you know, a lot of times, you know, you have to be aware of the risk that you're taking. Is the reward worth that risk?
So what was the big risk?
Well, the risk is if he swings and they throw the ball to second base and get Klesko out. Yeah. That's a double play.
The inning's over.
Inning's over, whereas you would get one more guy up there, Giles.
There they go. And Loretta fouls one right back beneath us.
Because you have to always remember, Giles is hitting behind Loretta. He's your cleanup hitter. And anytime you have your cleanup hitter, you're happy to have him hitting with runners at first and second.
There's Giles awaiting his turn on deck. By the way, the sun has disappeared behind a cloud for the moment. It looks dark out there in the field. This will be the 8th pitch of this at-bat for Loretta. He saw 8 in his first at-bat. The runners go. And he fouls that one.
And it looked like they were going to go to second base because Nunez didn't even cover third base. And Molina came up like he was going to second base.
Gratulonic was over to cover.
Now
second.
watch this. Watch the third baseman. See, he's not even moving to cover third on the steal. So they have to throw to second base. That has to be where they're going.
La Russa does not want to open that hole on the third base side for the right-handed hitter. So they've been running pitch after pitch. Now Loretta backs away. This is quite a battle here. Loretta has, in his 2 trips to the plate, seen 17 pitches.
See, if you're Ryan Klesko at first base, you realize they're going to go to second base now. You should be getting a bigger lead because Albert Pujols is way off the bag at first base.
Let's go. Right to third. Nunez won the first double play.
And that's why they didn't have Nunez covering. If he's on the move, he may not be able to make that play.
Wow. The Padres again with a great opportunity. Again, they come up empty. 1-0 St. Louis after 2.5. Chris Carpenter leads off for the Cardinals. Jake Peavy off the mound to field it. And there is one away. Well, most of this game has been Carpenter on the mound and Peavy sitting in the dugout.
Here's Tony La Russa telling the third baseman, do not break when Dave Roberts breaks. And that's why he was able to make this play. Now watch this. He wouldn't have been able to make this play. See where he catches it? All right, he would have been over here to cover third base, and then his momentum wouldn't have allowed him to go back to get this ball. See, he was 4 steps off the bag when he caught that ball. If he breaks the cover, he will not be able to make that play. The ball was hit hard, too. So Tony made the right call, and you don't cover third if you're going to throw to second base anyway. If that's the only place you're going to throw is second base. So that was telling everybody that he was only going to throw the ball to second base on the strikeout.
Eckstein, the leadoff man now. He flied out to left his first time. Jim Edmonds out on deck.
And there are a lot of little things that happen during a ball game that the manager controls from the dugout that a lot of times we don't see. So it was interesting to be able to see that. I knew that he wasn't covering because I was watching. But, you know, we see why he wasn't covering because Tony La Russa decided he didn't want him to cover.
That's foul. Well, I knew he wasn't covering because I'm sitting next to you.
But I still think that Ryan Klesko could have gotten a bigger lead at first base, and they wouldn't have had any place to throw if he struck out. Because Albert Pujols was way off the bag at first base.
1-2 to Eckstein. Shallow center, base hit. And here comes Edmonds, who is responsible for the only run of the game.
And remember, Edmonds has a sore front shoulder. That sometimes can help you as a hitter because it keeps you from pulling off of pitches. And this ball was away, and he didn't pull off of it, went the other way with it. Most of the time, injuries will hinder you as a hitter, but some injuries can help you to stay in, keep you from pulling off, or keep you from overstriding. So all of them aren't bad. They curtail your power, but they don't hurt you as much. And see, that would hurt him. when you swing and miss and you pull the bat through with that front shoulder without making contact, that's when it hurts.
Edmonds in his 5th division series. He's homered in all of those division series. He's been in 3 league championship series. Has homered in all of those. So this is his time of year. The only postseason series in which he has not homered was the one time he got to the World Series. The Red Sox just shut him down last October.
And you can see what Peavy's doing there. He realized he tried to just pitch him inside. He went inside with fastball. See, they're going back inside to make him have to pull the ball. See that you can adjustments are what makes for a good series, a good confrontation. He hit the ball outside for a home run. See, and every pitch this at bat has been on the inner half. They're going to make him have to turn on the ball by pitching him inside. Well, they're going to go away now.
And
good high fastball.
He did not get it.
Well, Peavy has, as I said before, an exploding fastball. I mean, I don't care where he throws it. Even if he throws it in the middle of the plate, it's not easy to hit. I mean, his fastball looks like it has another stage. Watch this. It just seems like it just picks up a little more steam right out in front. It seems like it has a little hop toward the end of the pitch.
Albert Pujols on deck. That's Eckstein at first, 1 out.
Back inside, which is where they wanted to go. See that? He can't get his hands extended.
That's going to fall. Base hit. And Eckstein will go to third. Edmonds into second.
Well, Peavy got a little bit unlucky there. He made the pitch that he wanted. He got the ball in tight on Edmonds. You could see Edmonds couldn't get it off of him. He couldn't fight it off, but he did make contact. And watch where the pitch. Look at this, up and in, and he just fights it off. Look at that swing. You can see the difference in that swing and the one where he hit the home run when the pitch was away from him and he could extend. But no one's at third base because everyone chased it. But in effect, you also kind of take Albert Pujols' at bat away.
Yeah, they're going to walk him intentionally. They've already thrown ball 1 to him with the left-handed batting, Larry Walker. Now this is interesting. I mean, you got a former National League MVP and a left-handed hitter on deck. But that's the kind of respect that Bruce Bochy and the Padres have for Albert Pujols.
Well, we saw that the other day with David Ortiz and the Yankees. They respected him enough to walk him almost in front of Manny Ramirez. I mean, there are certain times and certain guys that just say, hey, I don't want him to beat me in this ball game. And Albert Pujols is definitely the guy in the Cardinals lineup that you do not want to beat you if you can avoid it.
The crowd rises to its feet. We're at Busch Stadium, St. Louis. Game 1 of the National League Division Series. Jim Edmonds homered in the first inning. So far, the only run of the game. But now, the Cardinals are going for the jugular. The bases are loaded with 1 out against the Padres' Jake Peavy. And that will get a run home. And it rolls into the Padres' dugout. Edmonds also came home, but he'll have to go back to third. 2-0 Cardinals.
Well, first of all, the pitch surprises me. It appears that he was trying to throw a changeup, and he had struck him out the first time up with all hard stuff, in and out, and a curveball. But this appears it is a changeup, and he slips on his delivery. I mean, he slips as he's trying to release this ball, and that's why it bounced. But it was a changeup. And it bounced way out in front of the plate. At least it appeared to be a changeup. Maybe it was a fastball, and he slipped, and it turned into a changeup.
So Bruce Bochy and one of the Padres trainers went out. Todd Hutchinson is the head trainer for the Padres to see if Peavy was okay. That ball rolled right into the Padres dugout. That's only a 1-base advance. So Edmonds had to go back to third. And a breaking ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, I probably have to go back and think that wasn't supposed to be a changeup. He just slipped and became a changeup because they hadn't thrown him changeup. They'd thrown him breaking balls and good hard fastballs.
2-1. Now you got the right-handed hitting. Reggie Sanders on deck.
And now the Padres move the infield in, John, as well.
they walked Pujols. They were hoping for the double play ball from Walker. Now it's 3-1.
And you see they're actually pitching around Larry Walker, I think. I mean, that was a changeup down and away, so if he hits it, he's going to get a ground ball. Now they're going to walk him. This makes a lot of sense to me. You know, Reggie Sanders does strike out a lot. It's very difficult to double him unless he hits the ball near the bag, but at least you give yourself some options. The ball back to the pitcher, he can come home with it, try to get the double play. The third baseman can come home. A lot of things can happen now. But most of all, Jake Peavy is a strikeout pitcher, and Reggie Sanders does strike out.
Sanders struck out his first at bat here today. 2-0. The Cardinals lead. Trying to build that lead. Still only one out. Strike on the inside of the knees.
You know, let's make this clear, though, what happened here. Eckstein kind of blooped the ball into center field. Edmonds blooped the ball along the line, so they haven't really hit Peavy hard this inning, yet he's in a lot of trouble.
A bloop single to center, just a pop-up that fell along the left field line for a double. Then a wild pitch after an intentional walk. Threw his bat at that one, that breaking ball, and now he's behind 0-2. The ball ended up in the stands.
Well, this ball's off the plate outside. Really good pitch by Peavy. And Sanders trying to put the ball in play, reaches for it, and he reaches so far he loses his hand, loses his grip.
Sanders with the new piece of wood, and he'll touch it up with the pine tar rag. Well, this may be the inning right here, what Dusty Baker likes to call the inning of decision. I mean, the Padres could fall hopelessly out of this one right here. This is not a ball club with a whole lot of offense. And as you mentioned, this outcome with Peavy on the mound may be the key to their whole series. 0-2. Slider reach for and off the glove of Sweeney into right field. Edmonds scores. Here comes Pujols. Safe. Walker over to third. 4-0 Cardinals.
One of the underrated things about Albert Pujols is his aggressiveness on the bases. I think people just think of him as a hitter, but this guy runs the bases very, very well, very aggressive. There's that same slider away. This time he just kind of holds onto the bat. He hits it toward the end of the bat, but you can see Sweeney tries to smother it, and the ball goes into shallow right field. And Reggie Sanders drives home 2. And as you mentioned, the Cardinals 4-0. But here comes Pujols, and he's in there easily, actually. It wasn't even that close. Good hustle by Pujols.
Here's Grunzelanek now. 3 runs are in. That's to second, should be 2. And it is. Loretta to Green to Sweeney. What a disastrous inning for the Padres. 4-0 Cardinals after 3. The League Division Series, the Cardinals and the Padres, presented by Budweiser. And we are in St. Louis. Here is Brian Giles to lead off, as the Padres have a lot of coming back to do now after they lost some great opportunities in the first 3 innings against Carpenter.
Well,
but they do have a long time to do it.
They got a lot of innings. They got a lot of outs left. Just use the outs. You know, you don't have to get them all back at once. Just 1 here, 1 there, or 2 here, whatever. But you don't have to go for the big inning.
There is Eckstein behind second. And 1 away. So Giles is 0 for 2. They've had 3 hits and a walk. They've gotten a base runner on an error. More baseball coming up. From the south side of Chicago, the Red Sox and the White Sox. Matt Clement, Jose Contreras right here on ESPN. 4 Eastern, 3 Central. The Yankees and the Angels tonight on the Fox Network at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Mike Messina and Bartolo Colon. The Major League Baseball Division Series games are available in high definition on ESPN HD. Now here is Mark Sweeney. And Sweeney with a big curveball. Now, Sweeney is a guy who can play first. He can play the outfield, but he's not a Gold Glove first baseman.
Well, we just saw that.
A real top-notch first baseman, I think, would have gotten that ball, not taken anything away from Sweeney. I mean, he is what he is, but defense is not one of the strengths for the Padres.
Well, he's in, for the lineup for his bat, and that's one of the things that happens to you. I think sometimes, I said this at the beginning of the year, I think defense is far more important now than ever before, because you could make one mistake in the past and it cost you 1 run. Now you make a mistake, it might cost you 5 or 6 runs because the hitters continue to hit. And you can see that he made a great attempt. He got a glove on it, but he wasn't able to hold it.
Sweeney fouling one.
Defense is kind of like defense in football. You have to get off the field. In baseball, the only way you can score is on your offense. So you have to get off the field. You have to get 3 outs and come in. You can't give 4 outs. You can't give 5 outs to a team and expect to beat them, because while you're out there, you're not scoring runs and you don't get a chance. So there are big turnarounds when you stay in the field too long.
There was some real bad luck, for the
really
Padres.
Bad luck.
I mean, that just pop-up by Jim Edmonds. Good pitch by PV. By all rights, should have gotten him out. But
great pitch.
Wasn't anybody's fault. Nobody could get to it. And that's ball 4 to Sweeney, the second walk allowed by Carpenter. But then Peavy on that wild pitch, that was a huge play in retrospect in the inning.
Yeah, I think he slipped, John.
He stumbled.
Yeah, and that's just a bad, again, that's a bad break. But, good teams take advantage when they get a good break. And that's what the Cardinals did in that inning. They got a couple of breaks, one off the end of the bat by Eckstein for a hit, and one off the handle by Edmonds, another one off the end of the bat by Reggie Sanders. But they took advantage of all that with good base running by Pujols.
And the Padres have gotten a couple of breaks as well, but they turned it into nothing.
Yeah, they haven't been able to take advantage of it, and that's basically the difference offensively between these two teams anyway, John. The Cardinals, when they get you in trouble, they know how to finish it, whereas the Padres have not been able to do that this year.
Hernandez with a high foul out of play. He averaged about an RBI a game the last 3.5 weeks of the season. Ramon Hernandez was outstanding down the stretch.
John, this is what we're talking about. Here's Peavy slipping. He slips and the ball bounces short.
That's inside now to Hernandez. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Khalil Green on deck. So the Cardinals put 3 runs on the board, and the hardest hit ball of the inning was the double play ball hit by Grudzielanek.
Yeah.
And there's Eckstein. There's one to first. Another double play. That's 3 double plays in 3 innings. Turned by the Cardinals. 4-0 St. Louis. Well, it has been a troubling 3 innings for the Padres, who've had some breaks and have had opportunities and done nothing with it. And meanwhile, the Cardinals got a couple of breaks in the 3rd inning and turned it into 3 big runs. And they lead 4-0 in the last of the 4th.
And John, this is basically, the difference in the two teams. As I said, the Padres hit 260 with runners in scoring position. The Cardinals hit 290. So, I mean, that's what the Cardinals are a better team with runners in scoring position.
Padres have had 3 at-bats so far in this game with the runner in scoring position and are 0 for 3. The Cardinals' first at-bat with the runner in scoring position was the base hit by Reggie Sanders that knocked in 2 runs as Abraham Nunez is retired, 1 away. Nunez singled to left his first time.
And that's the difference in his 2 at-bats. The first time he got a sinker away, he went the other way for a base hit. This time he tries to pull it and hits a little weak hopper back to the pitcher.
Now, Yadier Molina, who grounded out to short his first time. Molina replacing a very popular man here in St. Louis, Mike Matheny, who in the offseason signed with the San Francisco Giants. And Yadier Molina did a great job. They love Matheny with the way he handled the pitching staff and was excellent cutting down would-be base stealers. But Molina, who in fact was taken under the wing of Mike Matheny when Matheny was still here, has done his mentor proud. He's had an excellent year, although he missed some time with an injury. 2-1 the count.
One of the things I mentioned, John, is the Padres have 10 pitchers, whereas La Russa went with 11 pitchers. And the Padres took Chan-Ho Park off the list. So that's the difference in the two teams right now anyway.
They put Sean Burrows on the roster
in place of
Chan-Ho Park, and an extra left-handed hitter.
And I think that was a smart move by the Padres, because they're going to need the offense as much as, you know, the pitching.
2 down as Molina strikes out.
There's the same fastball that we talked about from PV. It just kind of sinks right out of the strike zone.
2 down. PV now to face Chris Carpenter. Carpenter hit one right back to PV his first time. Fastball to strike.
And PV is, you know, he's pitched well. I mean, just that one horrible inning for him. And again, there was nothing he could really do about it.
That one sinker is low. 1 ball, 1 strike. La Russa said that the Cardinals went with 11 pitchers because pitching is the backbone of the team, and he felt like they needed that extra pitcher to be able to match up well. In fact, we can ask him about it in 60 seconds. We're going to be visiting with Tony La Russa from the Cardinal dugout in 60 seconds. We'll be right back with Tony. Cardinals lead the Padres 4-0 here in game 1 as we go to the 5th inning, and we're very pleased to be joined by Cardinal manager Tony La Russa from the dugout. Thanks, Tony.
Hey, Tony, a few things that happened in the, you know, defensive plays, whatever, changed the course of the game. That was a great call you made not to have Nunez covering on that hit and run. It turned into a double play.
Well, the thing with Loretta, he sprays it all around, Joe, and he's a good contact guy, so we didn't want to leave our position. And you know, that was part of a double play, and putting the ball in 2 strikes by Jimmy and Reggie. That's those 2 things we've done real well all year.
Good. All right, Tony, maybe you could help clear up something for us. Earlier in the game, David Eckstein missed a line drive that was hit right at him. What happened in that?
Just proves he's a man, not a machine, because he's been playing like a machine.
All right, so, I mean, lose it in somebody's shirt, or what do you think?
Well, he was beating himself up so bad, John, I wasn't going to ask him. I just, you know.
What'd you ask Bill Hahn on that play at first base?
That's what the gamblers got to him. I asked him if I stay here and argue and change. He said no, and I said I'm done.
Okay. Good luck,
right.
Tony.
Thanks, Tony. Tony La Russa, manager of the Cardinals from the dugout. And with the ability to smile over those things right now because they went against the Cardinals there.
Yeah, but I tell you what, Tony's usually so intense that he wouldn't even smile if they're up 4-0. So we're seeing maybe the changing of Tony La Russa here.
First ball swinging, Khalil Green, and out in fairly deep left center, Jim Edmond, but he had that one measured all the way. And Khalil Green, a 70 RBI man for the Padres this year, one of their important hitters. He got 70 RBIs, only played 121 games, but he's seen 2 pitches and is 0 for 2.
Yeah. Well, one thing I said, if they would have had Khalil Green all year, Loretta all year, they wouldn't have been struggling to stay above 500. Those 2 guys would have made a lot of difference in this ball club because they're your middle infielders. They're the 2 guys up the middle, and they also offer a lot offensively. So they would have been a better team, obviously, all year long with those 2 guys in the lineup.
Joe Randa hit into an inning-ending double play in the second, one of 3 inning-ending double plays into which the Padres have hit in the last 3 innings. 2-0 the count to Randa. Jake Peavy, the pitcher, is out on deck. Now, I mean, this looked like such a mismatch in this series. The Cardinals won 100 games. The Padres had the worst winning record, winning percentage of any team ever to make the postseason. They finish up 82-80, just barely over 500. Here's the 3-0 pitch, and that's a walk for Randa. But the other time that a team was even close to, you know, that mediocre and made the postseason was the New York Mets, 1973.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about the 73.
And they were prohibitive. There was no way. Prohibitive underdogs against the Big Red Machine in 73.
Yeah.
But they won it. They defeated those.
That's
Reds.
why
You remember
anybody
that?
can win. No, I don't remember it, but that's why anybody can win.
Peavy drops down a bunt. Nunez will come out. Peavy not running very well up the first base, running like a pitcher. Randa over to second base, 2 down. Dave Roberts, the leadoff man, coming up. Well, what happened? Did the ball hit him? Apparently, he bunted that one off his foot, but he ran.
Well, he was just happy to get his job done. I mean, he wants to get his job done of just. Well, he hit the bat while he was in the batter's box.
Well, he hit it twice.
Yeah.
Now that's a real good bunt.
But he was just happy. I mean, his job right now is to move the runner to second base, and he would have done that had they not called it a foul ball. So he was happy about it. He knew it hit his bat, but he didn't care.
So strike 1, and now it's strike 2.
Yeah. See, that's why he was happy. Once you just want to get the job done.
Well, he was so cagey on that. He just ran like, oh yeah, I meant to do that. I'm a pretty good bunter. I got it down. But you're only allowed to strike it once. The second time, it's a foul ball, or if you're out of the batter's box and it hits the second time, you're out. The yacker, that's outside. Your Reds, Joe, won 100 games, and the Mets only won. Actually, you only won 99.
Yeah,
maybe that's it.
Yeah, that's what it was. We needed one more. Yeah, we needed one more.
But that, I mean, nobody figured you guys could lose that series.
Well, we did. We figured that, you had Seaver, Kuzman, and Matlack going against you. You can lose as well. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, if you have 3 great pitchers going against you, you're always, and that's the risk you take.
Well, not only did they beat your team, and Tug McGraw, don't forget, out of the bullpen, he was great down the stretch and in the postseason behind those great pitchers. And that is a foul ball. And so it goes for the Padres so far today. More baseball tomorrow. The Astros and the Braves will kick it off at Turner Field. Andy Pettit 17-9 up against Tim Hudson 14-9. That'll be at 4 Eastern time, 1 Pacific. And then the Red Sox and White Sox will go in game 2 at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific. David Wells and Mark Burley. And then the Yankees and Angels game 2 right here on ESPN at 10 Eastern. All 3 of the games on ESPN tomorrow. And we're told now the Yankees, rather than Sean Chacon, will go at Chin-Ming Wong against John Lackey tomorrow in Anaheim. Dave Roberts has hit the ball hard twice against Carpenter. Lined out to right and single to right. Off the fist, there's that little flare to left field. Reggie Sanders, he got there. And almost the same spot into which Edmonds hit his pop fly that fell for a double in the big 3rd inning for the Cardinals. Back here in St. Louis, last of the 5th inning. Top of the order for the Cardinals. David Eckstein takes ball 1 from Jake Peavy. Eckstein flied out in the 1st inning, but then in the 3rd, he blooped a single into center field, and that started a 3-run rally. And he takes a strike from Peavy. I like how La Russa talked about it. That line drive hit by Ramon Hernandez right at him in the 2nd that he missed.
Well, Tony said he just missed it.
And Tony said, hey, he was beating himself up so badly over it. I just didn't have the heart to even go ask him what happened. 2-1 the count. Diving at 3rd to get it, and Randa throws him out.
It's interesting. This past year, the Cardinals, the Angels, and the Red Sox played musical chairs with their shortstop. Eckstein ended up here. Cabrera from Boston went to the Angels. And, of course, Renteria went from the Cardinals to the Red Sox. And guess what? All 3 teams are in the playoffs. So the shortstops at all those places did a good job for them.
And the conventional wisdom was that the Cardinals were the team
that suffered the most.
Suffered in that. The Red Sox upgraded with Renteria over Cabrera, and
offensively,
the Angels upgraded with Cabrera over Eckstein.
Defensively.
But I mean, both teams thought they were upgrading.
Yeah.
Peavy couldn't handle it, and Edmonds is aboard with his 3rd straight hit.
Yeah, but I think in most of those cases, It was about offense versus defense, you know. So I think that's the reason that all of them were good players, so they all helped their teams win. Ground ball back off of Peavy, and by the time they retrieve it, Edmonds, who runs well, beats it out at first base.
So Edmonds, who had the opposite field home run for the first run of the game in the first inning, since then has hit a pop-up that fell for a double, and now a comebacker that turns into a single. And here's Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols has had more RBIs in his first 4 seasons in the big leagues than all but 2 hitters in the history of the game. And those hitters are pretty good names. He's on the list with Joe DiMaggio and Ted Williams. They're the 2 guys who drove in more runs in their first 4 years than Pujols has. So it's for Albert, it's just, you know, well, Joe D and
for me,
Ted Williams
you
and
mention Ted Williams, that's pretty big for me.
Yeah. I get interested when you mention DiMaggio.
See, I'm the opposite. I love, you know, DiMaggio obviously was great, but when you mention Ted Williams, that's...
And that's a line drive base hit to left field. Edmonds with a big turn at second, but he'll go back as Klesko hurries it in.
You know what's great for the Cardinals is they have already scored 4 runs, but you want to get Albert Pujols started. And there's nothing. See, he misses his target by 3 feet there. I mean, he was supposed to be down and away. It's up and in, and Pujols still handles it. But you want to get your star off to a good start in the playoffs. You don't want him to go 0 for 3 today, 0 for whatever, even if you win the game. You want him to get off to a good start.
For the first time, the Padres bullpen gets up. 2 men on, 1 man out. Edmonds at second, Pujols at first, and Walker takes 2 low for ball 1. And there is Clay Hensley, the young right-hander who pitched beautifully for the Padres down the stretch.
The Padres have an excellent bullpen. I mean, their bullpen is very, very good. But you do not want to get into the bullpen this early. See, my belief is still the same as it always has been about postseason play. Your starting pitching is what it's all about. You need good starters, you know, to win championships. You can't go out there hoping to get 4 innings out of someone and then let the bullpen finish up.
And the slider outside, 3-0. Reggie Sanders on deck. Peavy. 4 runs on the board already. And the big hitters up right here. That's a strike. Edmonds got the infield hit. Pujols with a solid single to left. And now Walker with a 3-1 count. Walker ended up being walked intentionally in the 3rd. He struck out in the 1st. And he walks again.
Well, I think the one thing that's happening here is I think the Padres realize, as I said at the beginning of the ballgame, Peavy is the guy that's going to have to lead them if they're going to have a shot at beating the Cardinals in this 5-game series. Now, this game is not over. I mean, if he can get out of this jam, but if he gets beat up badly, then it's going to be a tough thing for the Padres to handle winning 3 out of 4 from the Cardinals. I mean, it's that simple.
So Hensley continues to heat up in the bullpen as Peavy just trying to hang on for dear life right now with the bases loaded and 1 out. We're in Busch Stadium in St. Louis. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Also Gary Miller here with us. And the Padres, with their ace, Peavy, led the league in strikeouts, been one of the premier pitchers in the league each of the last 2 years. But he gave up a home run to that man, Edmonds, in the 1st. And then 3 runs in the 3rd inning. And now the big hitters have loaded the bases here. Edmonds, Pujols, and Walker from 3rd back to 1st. And Reggie Sanders, who got a 2-run single off the glove of the first baseman, Sweeney, in the 3rd.
And I think you'll see him pitch Reggie differently this time than he did last time. He got 2 strikes and he continued to throw the breaking ball away, and he made good pitches, but Reggie put it in play. But if he gets 2 strikes, I guarantee you he's going to try to go with the high fastball to strike him out, as he did in the 1st inning.
They've had,
first at bat, I'm sorry, 2nd inning.
3 key hits on 0-2 counts. Just off the outside, 2-0.
Now you see Hernandez sets up outside. He moves it just a little bit, but that was not way off the strike zone anyway.
Peavy wanted the call. Now 3-0. Grudzielanek on deck. Sanders got that 2-run single with a 2-strike count in the 3rd inning. And the crowd now rises to its feet, waving those rally towels. 3-0 to Sanders. Left field. Klesko looks up. There it goes. A grand slam. That's going to do it for Peavy. Reggie Sanders knocks him out of the box, and they chant Reggie. And why not? He's driven in 6 runs in the first 5 innings of this game. They have driven the Padres ace out of the box, and they handed him a licking in the final analysis. 8 runs in 4 and a third innings.
Well, John, if that's one of those managerial decisions right there. Tony La Russa let him hit 3-0 with the bases loaded. So you got to give that to Tony La Russa right there.
And a massive home run. 8-0 Cardinals in the 5th inning. Reggie Sanders having the game of his life on the big stage. Slam-a-lama ding-dong. Yeah, Reggie Sanders, the grand slam.
John, I don't think I've ever seen in a playoff game where someone swings 3-0 with the bases loaded, let alone hit a slam. I mean, hits a grand slam, 3 balls, no strikes, bases loaded in a 4-0 game. Obviously, because you're hit 4-0, you can make that type of decision. But I've never seen that. I mean, I've never seen a manager give a guy the hit and sign with 3-0. I'm sure it has happened, but I've never seen it work anyway.
Clay Hensley, the new pitcher. Grudzielanek hits that slider out to center field. And Dave Roberts takes care of it. That's out number 2 in the inning. Clay Hensley on to pitch in relief of Jake Peavy. Hensley, who originally came up in the San Francisco Giants organization. Padres traded Matt Herges to the Giants a couple years ago, and Hensley was one of those minor leaguers who oftentimes in the dispatches doesn't even get named. He pitched real well down the stretch for the Padres this year. 26 years old, got into 24 games, a 1.7 ERA, 47 2/3 innings pitched, only 33 hits allowed as Abraham Nunez stands in. John, no strikes, and that's ball 2.
John, we've seen 2 things today. Tony La Russa has saved his team some runs by leaving the third baseman there and then turning into a double play. Now we've seen him allow Reggie Sanders to swing 3-0 with the bases loaded, and that's added some runs for his team. Again, I don't think he would have done it had it been a tie ball game or you didn't have the luxury of a 4-0 lead. But those are still 2 big decisions that he has made in this ball game that have had an impact on the outcome of this ball game so far.
Nunez walks. I mean, the rule of thumb is he walks Larry Walker.
Right.
And now he went to 3-0 on Sanders, and you don't want the guy swinging at a bad ball, right? I mean,
so normally you would at least take 1. I mean, you wouldn't take more than 1. You'd take 1 just to see if he could throw a strike. Because the last thing you would have hated is Sanders swinging a bad pitch out of the strike zone and ground into a double play. But Tony trusted his guys, and he said that to me before the game. He said, I trust this team. I really feel like we can get the job done. And that was a lot of trust to let Reggie Sanders hit on a 3-0 pitch with the bases loaded.
That's a strike on the outside. You know, a guy I remember who was great at it, you faced in a World Series, one of the great World Series. This is the 30th anniversary of that World Series this year. the Reds and the Red Sox in 1975. Dwight Evans was a great 3-0 hitter later in his career. Khalil Green, and that ends the inning. Molina retired. But Reggie Sanders, he sets a National League Division Series record with 6 runs batted in. A grand slam, 8-0 Card. With Joe Morgan and Gary Miller, this is John Miller back at Busch Stadium as Ryan Klesko takes ball 1 from Chris Carpenter. This is the 21st time that the Cardinals have gone into postseason play in their illustrious history. Klesko, left center field. Edmonds on the run. He gets there on the warning track. Klesko retired for the first time. He had a walk and a single earlier.
Well, Jim Edmonds has won Gold Gloves because he can run down anything that stays in the ballpark. And you can see he had a beat on this all the way. And Klesko hit it pretty well, but wrong part of the ballpark.
Jim Edmonds, 7 Gold Gloves in his career. Mark Loretta has flied out to center and grounded into an inning-ending double play. He is 0 for 2, takes ball 1. Now, in those 21 postseasons for the Cardinals, nobody for the Cardinals has ever had a game with as many RBIs as Reggie Sanders has today. 21 postseasons.
You mean no Stan Musial?
Stan the Man never did it.
You mean no Bill White?
Bill White never did it. Orlando Cepeda.
What about Ken Boyer? Those were the big guys. Those are big RBI guys.
Didn't do it. Not even Jack the Ripper. Enos Country Slaughter. Keep naming guys. None of them did it.
Actually, I remember Mike Shannon had a couple of big games in series, so maybe he was second on that list then. Maybe just never got 6.
The Cardinals have won the World Series 9 times. They've been in the World Series 16 times. 21 times in the postseason overall. They have not won a World Series in 23 years since they beat the True Blue Brew Crew. Harvey's Wallbangers, the slugging Brewers. That was a wild World Series in '82.
Which series was that where they lost to Kansas City when?
That was '85.
Yeah, when the call at first base went against them.
Yeah, Don Denkinger.
Yeah, I didn't want to call his name because I didn't want to, you know. But
well, you brought it up.
Well, I brought up the play. You brought up the umpire.
You think there's somebody here in the state of Missouri who didn't know that name?
I brought up the play. I think they're a little late. They were supposed to do that during the national anthem.
But we just had a flyover.
Yeah.
Well, the fans cheered him nonetheless.
All right, all the players are looking for the plane. Can't find it.
I didn't see it. I heard him.
I still hear it.
3-2 the count to Loretta, having another battle here with Carpenter. He'd seen 17 pitches in his first 2 at-bats. Doing stuff like that, he's going to do deep counts all 3 times, but Carpenter's gotten him the first 2 times. Anyway, no Cardinal had ever had more than 4 RBIs in any postseason game in 20 previous postseasons.
Man. Now
until
4,
Sanders got 6 today.
I thought 5 might have been the record, but 4.
Eckstein throws out Loretta. Another great battle by Loretta against Carpenter, but Carpenter keeps beating him.
You know what's interesting, and the other thing we talked to Tony La Russa about, you know, Eckstein, he said the one thing that surprised him, not all his hustle, the way he plays the game, how tough he is, but his arm. He said his arm is stronger than he thought it was, because that was the knock on Eckstein, that he didn't have a shortstop's arm. He didn't have the cannon that, you know, the Derek Jeters and all these other fine shortstops have. He just had a good, you know, an arm that could just get you out, and he couldn't make certain plays deep in the hole. But he said that his arm is much stronger, and he kind of credited that to Barry Weinberg, the trainer here. He said he helped strengthen his arm.
0-2 the count to Brian Giles. Curveball, and he tops it foul. Giles is 0 for 2. By the way, no Cardinal ever with more than 4 RBIs in a postseason game.
All right.
See if
have
you,
any names?
See if you can remember some of these guys. Lou Brock.
Of course.
1968 World Series, 4 batted in a game. Willie McGee.
Well, that's surprising.
In the 82 series against the Brewers, had 4 RBIs. Keith Hernandez had 4 in a game in 82. Ken Boyer, the 64 World Series. Pepper Martin, all the way back in 31. There's some other names in that list. 8-0 Cardinals. We'll be back. It's game 1 of the National League Division Series. The Cardinals have it firmly in hand right now. And here's the pitching summary brought to you by Yellow Book. Jake Peavy. And he had some bad luck early on, which the Cardinals capitalized on. And then finally, he lost the strike zone facing the wrong hitters. With 2 men on, he walked Larry Walker on 4 pitches, then went to 3-0 on Reggie Sanders. And on a 3-0 pitch, Reggie Sanders hit one right out of the yard, a grand slam. That was all for Peavy. He lasted 4 1/3. Meanwhile, Chris Carpenter at the plate. Carpenter's pitched 6 shutout innings. New pitcher for the Padres in the game. Ordinarily a member of their starting rotation. There is Brian Lawrence. Lawrence only 7-15 this year. The worst year of his career. And he was a 15-game winner for them last year and an integral part of their rotation. But Carpenter down on strikes, and there is 1 away here in the 6th. All right, so Joe, I tell you, some of the guys, the Cardinals had 4 RBIs in the game.
Yeah, I want to make sure people didn't misunderstand when I said that surprised me about Willie McGee. The reason it surprised me because, you know, most of the time he was a table setter.
He's the guy who might have scored 4 runs.
He wasn't the guy to drive in a lot of runs, but obviously he did.
Well, you know, in 82, he did drive in a lot of runs.
Yeah, he had 3rd that one year.
Yeah. Last year, Albert Pujols in a division series game had a 4 RBI day, and Mike Matheny had 4 RBIs in a game in the division series last year. Gary Gaetti had 4 in a game in the National League Championship Series, a game against Atlanta. There's Albert. He helped fuel the 4-run 5th inning as he hit a single in the middle of that rally. And Les Bell, 1926 World Series. That's one of the real famous World Series. The Cardinals and the Yankees. As Dave Roberts takes that one, and Eckstein is retired. Eckstein now 1 for 4. That's the World Series where the series ended when Babe Ruth got thrown out trying to steal second. Jim Edmonds, a big day, a home run for the first run of the game in the first inning.
But this was the key. He just fights off a 2-strike pitch, and it finds some safe land down the left field line, and that really fueled that 2nd inning where they scored, 3rd inning where they scored 3 runs.
And then the comebacker hit sharply. Peavy couldn't handle it, and that infield single started the 4-run 5th inning rally. So you could make a case that his pop-up down the left field line and his comebacker that went for a base hit the next time up were more damaging than his home run.
Well, definitely the pop-up.
3 up, 3 down. On to the 7th inning. Sweeney coming up. 8-0 St. Louis. Budweiser, the Cardinals and the Padres here at Busch Stadium, St. Louis, and the Cardinals with an 8-0 lead. Reggie Sanders with 6 RBIs in the game, but Chris Carpenter, after taking the mound to warm up for the 7th inning, then something was not right. Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, and manager Tony La Russa, and the trainer Barry Weinberg, seen in the foreground there, went to the mound, and it was decided to take Carpenter out of the game. So we'll be right back. A new pitcher coming in. All sunshine in regards to the Cardinals and their fans, though, except a little concern, I'm sure, because Chris Carpenter, after trying to warm up for whatever reason, and we're hoping to get a word on it, was not deemed fit to continue. So after 90 pitches, he's gone. 6 innings, no runs, 3 hits allowed. And there is Brad Thompson on to pitch, the 23-year-old right-hander from Las Vegas. And Thompson got a win on Sunday in the final regular season game played right here at Busch Stadium. So he's in the book. And delivers ball 1 to Mark Sweeney. Sweeney, Hernandez, and Khalil Green. Now we understand that Gary Miller's got some information. And as that ball goes down the right field line, Sweeney's going to get an extra base hit on this one. Walker waits for the carom, and Sweeney is 2 for 2 with a walk. Let's get this information now from Gary Miller. Gary?
Chris Carpenter throwing the shutout was out warming up between innings, and he called Tony La Russa out there. He developed some cramps in his hand, of all places, and with an 8-0 lead, Barry Weinberg, the trainer, Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, and Tony La Russa decided that was enough for today, and they'll get Carpenter out of this game. And cramps aren't a serious problem. It's just a daily thing, but they didn't need him anymore today.
So cramps in his hand.
Yeah, it's odd.
Wow.
Well, what happens, John, is you get dehydrated, you know. And remember, it was very humid out there. The sun was shining. I mean, this was a tough day to pitch. I mean, it's hot out there on the field. Not only that, when you're hot and this is a big playoff game, the stress, you expend more energy, you do more everything. I mean, you only threw 90 pitches, but, you know, this is a playoff game. And you have to...
Hernandez swings and misses.
I mean, that's just what happens. I mean, you get, you know, dehydrated, and then you can see he's, you know, kind of flexing his fingers there. But I think it's more dehydration, and it's a cramp can occur anywhere. Your foot, your back, your hand, your leg, anywhere when you get dehydrated.
So the difference between a cramp in your hand and, say, carpal tunnel syndrome.
Yeah.
Or maybe, you know, computer elbow. Or...
Yeah, I got you.
Flores up in the Cardinals bullpen. The ball is hit down the left field line, and Sanders plays it on a bounce. Sweeney, who was not sure about Sanders on that one. He apparently thought he might catch it. He was only able to get to third base.
Well, one thing to remember, if you're La Russa, you do not want to let them back in the game at all. And the ball is hit right down the line, and it was clear from up here that Sanders wasn't going to catch it, but obviously Sweeney wasn't going to make a mistake being 8 runs down. But if you're Tony La Russa, you do not want to let them back in the game at all. You want to try to shut them down, keep them thinking, or at least put in their mind that they can't beat you. You know, a lot of people are saying the Padres have no chance. I don't believe that, and the Padres don't believe that, I don't think, at this point. But you want to try to make sure that they don't start to really believe that they can beat you.
In the dirt outside with the breaking ball. Nice save there by Molina. Brad Thompson, as we say, only 23 years old. He got his AA degree from Dixie State College in St. George, Utah. You know who's from St. George, Utah? Bruce Hurst. Pretty good left-hander for many years. Came up with the Red Sox originally, and also played and did well for the Padres. And that is a sinker too low.
Well, I guarantee you Tony's not going to stay with Thompson too long if he doesn't start to get some outs.
Thompson was in 40 games this year, 2.95 ERA. Flores getting ready in the bullpen. And that's a foul by Khalil Green. This is the first inning in which, or the first at bat in which Green did not hit a fly ball on the first pitch he saw. He had a big at bat in the second inning with 2 men on and nobody out. They'd gotten an infield single and really on a bad call with the umpire, and then a liner that was just missed by Eckstein. That ball out into left center. Sweeney tag it up, and he will score. The fly ball out for Khalil Green, but this one plates a run, and it is 8-1 St. Louis. The Padres get their first run of the series.
Well, the one thing, John, if you're the Cardinals, you don't want to give San Diego anything positive to take away from today's ball game. You want them to think, well, it can be like this every day, and that's what you want to leave them with. That's why it's so important. If you're La Russa, you're not going to stick with anyone that goes out and gives up some runs.
Here now Joe Randa, and he takes way inside for a ball. So 6 shutout innings for Carpenter. Not that the Padres didn't have their chances against him. They could not get the big hit. Joe Randa has hit a double play. That ended the second, and then he walked in the 5th inning. That's a foul ball. Well, he
made a nice play.
Abraham Nunez tried to start the double play anyway, but the third base umpire, Jerry Lane, had immediately, right behind Nunez, signal foul ball.
Report for the Cardinal Medical Stand-up.
8-1 Cardinals here in the 7th inning. A runner at first and 1 out. A view from the press box here in St. Louis. A lot of media as always for the postseason. And Randa, a pop fly. And there is Edmonds. Edmonds been in the middle of almost everything, it seems like, here today.
John,
2 down. Sean Burroughs will pinch hit.
John, they're reporting in the press box that he was Carpenter was removed for precautionary measures due to cramps in his right hand caused by dehydration. So that's the line from the press box.
Well, now Burroughs, the lefty, with 2 more lefties behind him, Roberts and Klesko, and Tony La Russa's got a lefty in his bullpen. And so Tony, even with a 7-run lead here, is going to make the change. Something you talked about already earlier in the inning, Joe. Doesn't want to let the Padres get their hopes up. 8-1 Cardinals. New pitcher will be back by logging on to 100yardblitz.com and entering today's code word, baseball. 8-1 the Cardinals leading this baseball game over the San Diego Padres. And there is the left-hander, 30-year-old Randy Flores out of USC. He was a walk-on to the baseball team there and became the all-time record holder for victories at USC, and also is still the career leader in innings pitched at SC. And he's facing a guy that is a little bit older than Xavier Nady, the pinch hitter for Burroughs, but Burroughs gives way to a Cal man.
Yeah, Flores sounds like Rudy, the Notre Dame football guy. Walk on, get the job done.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Although he really got it done.
Yeah.
He didn't just make the team.
Yeah.
He didn't just suit up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, then maybe there'll be a big movie. Maybe you could put in a little memo and say, hey, how about a movie on Randy Flores? Xavier Nady, big star out of the University of California at Berkeley, facing the former SC star Randy Flores here in St. Louis. 2-1 the count to Nady. Nady had 13 home runs during the season in 326 at bats. Big rip at that one, but straight back to the screen. 2-2. Take a look at the players left on the bench for the Padres, presented by ING. Still have the lefty Robert Fick, Damian Jackson, Miguel Oliva, the backup catcher, and the veteran Eric Young, EY, among the right-handed hitters still available to Bruce Bochy. But right now they needed several more runs for that to become a tactical bit of information. Right now they just need lots of hits. They need lots of base runners. They need some big flies.
Yeah, but they're not a big fly hitting team.
Xavier Nady played some third base, first base, and all around the outfield. Ooh. A high breaking ball strikes him out. Padres get just the 1. Albert Pujols, then Larry Walker, and then that man who's already set a record, Reggie Sanders. And here is Aki Otsuka on from the Padres bullpen now, delivering ball 1 to Albert Pujols. Here's another guy you don't like to pitch to. And they decided not to, with runners at second and third, 1 out in the 3rd. Bruce Bochy had Peavy walk Albert intentionally to pitch to the left-handed batting slugger Larry Walker. Now that was real respect. 2-0 to Albert Pujols. It's deep down the left field line and foul. And it got there in a hurry.
I tell you what, Otsuka has a real weird motion. He takes the ball out of his glove, then he puts it back in, and then he throws it again. And Albert Pujols, he said he would have liked that ball to have been just a little bit more out over the plate. He could have kept it fair. There's some hesitation.
Back with the slider.
Yeah, but he hesitated. He kind of hesitated right in the middle of his motion there.
That's the way he does it.
Yeah.
Would that throw you off a little bit?
I think it will. Watch, he takes the ball out right, and then he puts it back in. He didn't hesitate then.
And Khalil Green, I don't think he was going to be able to throw out Pujols anyway.
I mean, he hesitated on the pitch before when he threw a slider. He just kind of he takes the ball out of his glove right there, and he puts it back in. He didn't hesitate then. He throws it, and I guess they're scoring that as an error. That's a questionable call. Pujols had a pretty good jump on the ball going down the first base.
Well, I looked at Pujols.
I did too.
Just as the ball popped out of his glove, and Albert was only a few steps away from first.
I don't think they looked at Pujols.
No.
Yeah, but not the first time this year to disagree with a score.
Maybe we could put a replay on there that shows them both, and maybe the official scorer will see the error of his ways.
Well, I don't think it's that important to the Cardinals at this point. They're just trying to win this ball game, and whether it's a hit or not doesn't really matter.
Henry Walker with a foul ball. Walker, who's had a lot of injury problems this year. Let's go down to Gary Miller.
John and Joe, they recommend you get no more than 3 cortisone shots in a given season. Larry's on his 4th, about a week left in the season. This season's been a pain in the neck, like the last few have been for him, but he's come back and he's as healthy as he can be right now.
That's caught by Green. Back over to first. Double play.
Well, he's out at first base. People are booing, but it's a line drive. And watch, Albert starts. Khalil Green gets rid of it very quickly on the outside, and you can see clearly that he's back. I mean, the ball beats him to first base. He's coming back. Ball's in the air in his glove as his foot. He actually stepped on Sweeney.
So 2 down, nobody on, and here is Reggie Sanders. Now, I don't know that you could ever say that anybody would see a game like this coming. I mean, Reggie has had a better division series game than anybody in National League history has ever had. 6 RBIs, but he did finish the year with a flourish. He had 10 RBIs in his last 6 games in the regular season. And he is that kind of a hitter. I mean, he's a guy who will he'll go on a tear like that occasionally. High lazy fly ball out into right center. Dave Roberts, and the inning is over. A quiet inning from the big hitters for the Cardinals, who lead 8-1. Top of the order coming up with the Padres. Cardinals lead this one 8-1 as we head to the 8th inning. 8 runs, 8 hits for the Cardinals. 1 run, 5 hits for the Padres. Reggie Sanders, the best RBI game ever seen in a National League Division Series game. 6 RBIs, a 2-run single in the 3rd, and a grand slam in the 5th. Jim Edmonds also a big day. 3 for 4, a homer, 3 runs scored, and a run batted in. And he's been busy out center field too. He caught 6 fly balls out there. So Taguchi goes into left field, replacing Reggie Sanders as we start the 8th inning. And Dave Roberts is going to be lifted for a pinch hitter. The Padres send the veteran right-handed hitter Eric Young to the plate. And Young, a longtime leadoff man in the big leagues, looks at a called strike from Randy Flores.
And Young has had some very good seasons when he was an everyday player, but he's an excellent guy to have on your ball club. Can play a lot of different places, good hitters, brings some speed. I mean, and a very good guy to have on a ball club. I mean, attitude-wise.
He's become very versatile. He used to be a middle infielder, but now he plays the outfield. Still can play the infield for you. Still can steal a base, too.
Right.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Ryan Klesko on deck, and then Mark Loretta due up 3rd in the inning. It's all Cardinals here today. They jumped ahead in the very first inning. When Edmonds hit his opposite field homer, they've led ever since. You saw Klesko out there on deck. That breaking ball is driven deep to left field. Taguchi going way back there. Then goodbye. Home run. A pinch hit homer for Eric Young, who hit only 2 home runs all year in 142 regular season at bats. And the fans cheer as that ball gets thrown back on the field.
You know, I think I'd bring an extra baseball if I want to throw it back, because there's nothing like a playoff souvenir. It looked like it was a breaking ball. It kind of stayed up. And it was either that or a changeup. It was an off-speed pitch, and it was up. Yeah, it was a changeup because of the way he took his stride and then he waited. And he hit it into the second deck.
And the slider, a check swing by Klesko, but he went around on it. Strike one. The guy in the middle is the one who tossed that one back.
Well, it looks. No, I thought he had another ball. I guess not.
Klesko with a foul out of play off to the left.
You know, I was looking down at first base when EY went by, and Davey Lopes is the first base coach, and he patted him on the back. Davey Lopes, one of the great players in Dodger history. He was a manager for the Braves for a couple of years, the Brewers.
1-2 the count to Klesko. He's had a walk and a single. He flied out deep to left center his last time.
And I mentioned that because that's the only time he's ever had a chance to manage.
Yeah. Strike three with a curveball. One away.
Well, this is a different pitch than the one that EY hit out. That's a big breaking curveball. Eric Young had a changeup. And Klesko is called out on strikes.
One down. Here is Loretta. Loretta saw more than a quarter of the pitches thrown for the day by Chris Carpenter. In his 3 at-bats, he saw 25 pitches out of the 90 that Carpenter threw. Loretta 0 for 3. That's a strike called over the outside. It's 0-2. It's been the Reggie Sanders day, but 6 shutout innings from Carpenter, their ace, and it's hard to do better than that.
No, you're right. I mean, it wasn't the Chris Carpenter we saw earlier in the year who would just shut you down. He struggled a little bit. The Padres had some opportunities, but they hit in the 3 double plays in the first 3 innings, so that took them out of, kept them from putting any numbers on the board. But he definitely did a great job of shutting them out for 6 innings.
I mean, they got 2 consecutive breaks in the second inning. An infield hit by Sweeney where really he should have been called out at first. And then the line drive right to Eckstein that he missed instead of an out. That was another base runner. They had 2 on and nobody out, but they were not able to turn that into anything. Larry Walker takes it. Loretta is 0 for 4 in this game. 2 down in the 8th, and Brian Giles comes up. Fans join Major League Baseball in its efforts to rebuild the Gulf Coast. Support Habitat for Humanity by calling 1-800-HABITAT. Logging on to MLB.com or by logging on to habitat.org. 2 down, and here is Brian Giles. Giles takes a strike, and Habitat for Humanity started by the former president Jimmy Carter, who's a big baseball fan.
Yeah, big baseball fan.
That's a line drive base hit for Brian Giles. His first hit of the game. He was 0 for 3.
Fastball looked like pretty much in the middle of the plate, because it seems to me that Flores is just trying to make sure he throws strikes and gets ahead of the hitters, which is the thing to do, when you have a 6-run lead.
Flores getting a visit from Yadier Molina. The Cardinals have activity going in their bullpen right now. As Ben Johnson, the rookie, a right-handed hitter, comes in. In the bullpen, you just saw Jason Marquis and Cal Eldred, both right-handers. And now that the right-handed hitter has been put in the game, Ben Johnson, Tony La Russa is going to come in and make apparently a double switch. 8-2 Cardinals. We'll be right. All right, guys, 8-2 Cardinals over the Padres here.
And I agree with what Harold Reynolds says. I'm going to get in your bullpen before you can get into mine.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that was in the back of both of their minds.
Cal Eldred on to pitch, and it is interesting though, the little subplot there, because Contreras came up with the Yankees. The Red Sox actually got into a bidding war against the Yankees. They tried to sign him as well. The Yankees got him. That led to the evil empire comment by Larry Lucchino. John Mabry now in left field, part of the double switch, as Taguchi just came on for a few batters here to play left field, and now he's gone. Mabry hitting the 9th spot, and Cal Eldred in the 5th spot. Anyway, then Contreras could not beat Robert Fick, by the way, is now the pinch hitter for the guy who had been the pinch hitter. So Fick now taking ball 1. Eric Young with a pinch hit home run earlier in the inning. So Fick late on that fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Anyway, Contreras no longer a Yankee, and you have to think one of the reasons was he just got lit up every time he faced the Red Sox. That's no way to stay with your ball club when you always get lit up by the arch rival.
Actually, he pitched so well down the stretch that I think he'll pitch a good game today.
And Giles took off. They were not holding against Giles at first, so they were giving him second base, so he went ahead and took it. They will give him credit for a steal. Now that's an official score right after our own hearts.
Yeah, but I mean, how can you give a guy an error on the other ball and then give him a steal on this one?
I mean, when there's no effort to throw out a guy, generally in this kind of a situation, it's called
fielder's indifference.
Yeah,
because it was so far. I mean, they weren't even holding him on.
8-2 the score. So Ben Johnson, the rookie, came up, and he in turn has been lifted for Robert Fick, a veteran. Runner at second, 2 down. Ramon Hernandez on deck, and that is low and inside.
Well, the one thing you can't do is come in with a large lead and walk people. I mean, that's how you fuel a comeback for the opposition. Make them earn everything they get.
Now, Ramon Hernandez, we mentioned earlier, he had some great games down the stretch. He hit a 3-run homer to beat Washington in an extra inning game very late in the season, and then against the Giants, and the Giants are threatening to get to within 2 games of them. Ramon Hernandez had a 7 RBI game. He drove in 7 runs in the first 4 innings of a game against the Giants, and that was just 1 week ago today. It was his greatest game in the big leagues. And look at that, since the 22nd of July, that's about the time he got off to the disabled list, hitting .354. The big curveball. Quickly, he's behind Eldred, 0-2. Two men on, 2 men out in the 8th inning. Ramon Hernandez, 1 for 3 in the game, has been safe on an error by Eckstein. He's grounded into a double play, and he singled his last time. 0-2 pitch, and the big dropping curveball in the dirt outside. 1-2. This is the 11th time that postseason play has been staged in Busch Stadium. This ballpark, this is the 40th year of baseball here. The multi-purpose ballparks went into business back in 1966. Fastball just missing. Throw down to first. Diving safely back was Fick. 2-2. Yadier Molina, you got to respect his arm. He's got a cannon. And from Busch Stadium, we can see the light standards just outside for the new yard that will open next spring. In the dirt. So from 0-2, it's going to 3-2 now to Hernandez. And Hernandez, he had 12 home runs for the year, hit .290, only had 369 at bats. He missed a huge chunk of the season. But he is dangerous right now, especially he's been swinging the bat the best he's swung in a long time recently. Now the catcher Molina's going to run out and talk to Cal Eldred here. Later today, the Red Sox and White Sox, it won't be long now. They'll be underway on the south side of Chicago. Matt Clement up against Jose Contreras right here on ESPN, 4 Eastern, 3 Central Time. Then the Yankees and Angels tonight on the Fox Network at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Mike Messina and Bartolo Colon here on ESPN. The MLB Division Series games are available in high definition on ESPN HD. Clement and Contreras. Contreras was the ace of the staff down the stretch. It's coming up 4 Eastern, 3 Central, right here on ESPN. All right, here's Ramon Hernandez now. The crowd urging Eldred on. The runners go. And dribbled foul. I'd come up and hit him. Foul ball, still 3-2. After Molina went out to talk to Eldred, Ed Montague went in and said, hey, let's play ball. What do you think? They had a playful moment there. Not time taken. Well, one thing, I mean, if Ramon goes deep here, that's a little too close for comfort all of a sudden for the Cardinals.
Well, that's true. That's why they send Molina off the stall, so Isringhausen could start to get ready in the bullpen.
Next time, and that ends the inning. 2 more left on. For the Padres, they've stranded 7 and had 3 wiped out on double plays. 8-2 Cardinals. Lead last of the 8th inning here. Changes for the Padres. Eric Young, who pinch hit for Robert, stays in to play center field. And Robert Fick, who pinch hit for the pinch hitter for the former first baseman Sweeney, is now himself at first. And Scott Linebrink, the ace setup man for the Padres, and one of the best in the National League at that. It's like having a second closer on the ball club. He comes on to get some work here with Mark Grunzelatic taking a called strike. Linebrink, look at that ERA, 1.83, 73 and 2/3 innings pitched, only 55 hits allowed, 70 strikeouts while walking 23. It's a foul off to the right. Linebrink came up originally with the Giants and then had some serious arm problems, had major arm surgery, and eventually was moved on to the Houston Astros, but it was in San Diego where he got a shot late in games and has done well. He's found his niche. Down the right field line, Giles into the corner, and that's foul. But Jelanic took aim at that right field foul pole. 8-2 St. Louis out in front. Now this series is the one series where after just one game they take a day off. Game 2 of this series will not be until Thursday.
And then they take another day off.
Hello. Linebrink buzzed Grunzelatic.
Well, it was 0-2. Fastball in. Way in. And LaRussa tried to get out of the way for him.
See, and Tony's a little upset about that. And he comes back with a curve lined right to Robert Fick. Not actually right at him. He had to move a little bit and move quickly to snare it. Now the Chevrolet player of the game. And not hard to pick one here. Reggie Sanders. He had 2 hits, including a 2-run single and a grand slam. A National League Division Series record, 6 RBIs. And in recognition of Reggie's outstanding play, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Congratulations to Reggie. What a day. Abraham Nunez. You know, Reggie had played on a lot of good teams. Been a lot of postseasons, but he was always baseball's pilgrim. Every year he was with a new team.
Well, he'd hit 20-plus home runs, and and then he'd move to another team, hit 20-plus home runs, he'd move to another team. But the Cardinals like him, and he had a multi-year contract here for the first time in the last few years.
Abraham Nunez strikes out. Yeah, he came to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals wanted him back. Now, we mentioned 6 RBIs. That's a record in the National League Division Series. In the American League, there have been 4 players who have had as many as 7 RBIs in a game, as La Russa and Dave Duncan huddle in the dugout. Dave Duncan, the longtime pitching coach for Tony La Russa, not just here in St. Louis, but prior to that in Oakland.
And his son, Chris Duncan, hit a home run here on Sunday.
Yeah.
He's, you know, he was signed by the Cardinals and was brought up and hit a home run in front of his dad.
Yadier Molina's got a single to left, taken by Klesko on a bounce. So Molina's got his first hit. The younger brother of the Angels Molinas. They have 2 of the brothers, Benji and Jose Molina. And I remember several years ago, Benji Molina telling me, he says, hey, the best is our kid brother, Yadier. He's the guy. Although Benji had a pretty good year this year with the bat. John Mabry, the hitter, hitting in the 9th spot of the order, takes ball 1.
I remember the Martinez brothers telling me that Ramon and Pedro said their younger brother, who was a left-handed pitcher in the Dodgers organization, was going to be better than all of them. That was going to be something if that was the case, but he has not made it.
I mean, how good would he have had to be the best?
To be better than those 2 guys, you know. Both of them won 20 games. Both of them, I mean, how do you don't know how you're going to be much better.
Must have. If he
was left-handed, I guess that was going to make him better.
Tougher to steal on, maybe.
Yeah.
1-1 the count to Mabry. Up the middle, base hit. So 2 men on, and here comes Eckstein.
Fastball actually probably off the plate outside. He reaches out and lines it right back through the middle for a base hit.
So 2 men on, 2 men out. The Cardinals already ahead 8-2, and here is David Eckstein coming up now. By the way, who are the guys with 7 RBIs in American League Division Series play in a single game? The only 4 guys ever to have more than Sanders had here today. Sanders had 6. Edgar Martinez for Seattle in the game against the Yankees in '95. Mo Vaughn of the Red Sox in '98. John Valentin of the Red Sox in '99. And Troy O'Leary of the Red Sox the next day in '99. That must have been that series where the Red Sox scored all those runs against the Cleveland Indians. Well, in one game they had, what, 22, 23 runs in a game.
And they needed Pedro to save them in the end.
Pedro came in through 6 shutout innings, and he was ailing. High and tight to Eckstein. And really, when you go back and look at that, I mean, Pedro might have risked the rest of his career that game. 2-1 the count to Eckstein. He's 1 for 4 in the game. 2-2 the count. Eckstein noted Tony La Russa before the game, says what he didn't realize about, he knew all the little things about Eckstein because he'd seen him a lot, especially in 2002 when Eckstein was in the postseason. But he said what he didn't realize was just how tough he really was.
And I think he was speaking of mentally tough. He said nothing seems to bother him. You know, I don't care if things go against him. It doesn't get him down, or he just seems to be able to handle anything mentally. In fact, when he says he's the toughest guy he ever saw.
The toughest guy.
Yeah. And he's had a lot of good players on his team. A lot of mentally tough players as well. But he said this guy was the most mentally tough of all the guys he's ever seen. You know?
Now you're adding mentally. I don't remember Tony saying
well,
mentally.
He said the toughest, but I mean, you can't. That's what he was talking about. He said nothing bothers him. When you say nothing bothers him, that's what it means. To me, anyway, that's what it means. If you say nothing bothers him, what if things go against him, it doesn't seem to affect him.
There's Whitey Eckstein, David's father.
I don't think he meant the toughest physically now.
I thought he was telling me not to pick a fight with him.
No, I would take, he's had Dave Stewart, he's had McGuire, he's had some tough physical guys.
We're heading to the ninth inning now. Khalil Green coming up. 8-2 Cardinals. Okay, Carl. And the blue sky, although we're not seeing any of the benefits of that in the ballpark right now. The sun itself is being hidden by a cloud. Well, Tony La Russa has had a role in this ball game. Padres in the third inning had runners at first and second, 2 fast runners, and he ordered the third baseman not to cover when they broke. And Joe, that turned into a big double play, and then he gave Reggie Sanders the go-ahead on 3-0 with the bases loaded, and Reggie went ahead and slugged a grand slam, a 4-run homer. So La Russa.
Well, the 2 decisions that we've seen, you know, that had an effect on the game were those 2. He's made some other ones, of course. But, you know, as the old saying goes, I don't think you're going to outwork Tony La Russa. Doesn't mean that all of his moves are going to work all the time, but he's always going to have an idea or a reason why he does something. And Bruce Bochy is the same way. I really like, I played with Bruce Bochy. We were teammates, so I know him a little better in that, you know, I always knew where Bruce's head was, and it doesn't surprise me that he's become an excellent manager.
Khalil Green down the left field line. That's his first hit of the game. Having to go in after it now is Mabry, as Green has a double. He had an RBI with a fly ball in the 7th, and is now 1 for 3. When they reconvene here at Busch Stadium on Thursday, Pedro Astacio, who had been cut loose by the Texas Rangers earlier, the Padres had desperate need for a starter. They brought him in, and he did well for them. Mark Mulder will go, the former Oakland Athletics ace lefty, along with Barry Zito and the right-hander Tim Hudson. They were the big 3. And Mulder was brought over, and a little more depth and the big game experience to this rotation after what they saw in the postseason last year. So he'll make his postseason debut for the Cardinals on Thursday against Astacio. Let's go down to Gary Miller right now.
One of the things that's an advantage for them, John, is that Mulder going to the lefty in game 2, that takes Dave Roberts out of their lineup. As I mentioned earlier in the game, their record is much stronger when he plays. Eric Young, who's not as good defensively, would lead off, although he's got a home run today. But that changes the Padre lineup quite a bit when you get a lefty going against him and Roberts is out of there.
Well, that's a good point. Here's Randa. The sun breaks through. Padres in games started against them this year by lefties had a losing record.
You know what I found interesting is that they chose Astacio to go to second game, meaning the Padres. And when we talked to him, they basically said that this guy battles you, and he's always found a way to get you deep into the ball game. He said even when he pitched for, you know, the Rockies, he may give up 5 runs, but he would stay out there and battle and get you to the 6th inning or the 7th inning. And that's what they're looking for, to get to their bullpen, because they have such a set bullpen. So Astacio is going to be the guy. And as you mentioned, when he came over, he pitched very, very well. And it was a year. It's been a year since the surgery. Well, not quite a year, but he had surgery, and they said he was still recovering. And now they think that he's back to normal.
Well, he certainly knows how to pitch. I saw him pitch last week, Joe, against the Giants. And he'd not thrown 95 miles an hour, but he got a great changeup, and he can still throw that big hook. And he knows how to change. He knows how to pitch. Right center field. Walker chasing it. Ooh, nice catch.
Man, that's why he won Gold Gloves in Colorado. I mean, he can run the ball down with the best of them. Excellent play there by Walker. And remember, he's got a sore neck and shoulder, so he had to reach up and make the catch on the run. I mean, he goes a long ways for this ball, too. Look at this. Reaches over his shoulder, but he actually took the perfect angle. So he didn't have to reach back over his shoulder. He got to it as quickly as he possibly could. He took the perfect angle to get to that ball.
Well, there were a few years in the National League where the Gold Glove had his name on it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no better right fielder. There were some good ones, but nobody was better in the National League in right field than Larry Walker. Now Damian Jackson is the pinch hitter for Scott Linebrink. Eric Young out on deck. We're in the 9th inning. 1 out, a runner at second. That's a strike call on the inside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Jackson. Remember, Jackson, the year before last, was with the Red Sox. And it was the guy that they put in to do the job that Dave Roberts did for them last year, late in the season, when they needed a steal or they needed some speed in the base paths. But probably for Red Sox fans, they remember him more for going out and banging heads with Johnny Damon at the Coliseum. Damian Jackson can cover a lot of ground. He's been playing for a long time in the big leagues. Not a power hitter, not at all. That's his game right there. Base hit right through, and Khalil Green with the ball hit in front of him held up for a moment to make sure it went through, so he gets only to third base. So 1st and 3rd, 1 out, and now Eric Young is coming up, and La Russa calling down to the bullpen.
Well, he just wanted to make sure that Isringhausen was ready, and he says he's ready, so here comes Tony.
So Isringhausen will get the call, and again, all of these guys, he does not have to worry about pitching the guy today. There's no game tomorrow. If it had been a tight ball game, he might have used Isringhausen during the 8th inning at some point. So that's it for Eldred. Isringhausen coming in. 2 men on, 1 man out. 8-2 Cardinals. Game 1, National League Division Series. The Cardinals hosting the Padres. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Gary Miller also here. 8-2 Cardinals. They scored early on a homer by Edmonds. They got 3 more in the 3rd inning. The last 2 on a big single by Reggie Sanders. And then in the 5th inning, we realized Reggie was just giving a hint of what was to come, because in the 5th inning he hit a grand slam on a 3-0 pitch. Now the closer, Jason Isringhausen, comes on. And Isringhausen, he's one of those closers, Joe. He can come after you a lot of different ways.
Well, he's got a good fastball. He has a great curveball. He'll throw a cutter. Those are his main 3 pitches.
He inherits 2 base runners, Khalil Green at third base, and Damian Jackson, a speedy runner at first, and they're going to hold Damian Jackson.
Well, they're trying to keep the double play in order, and you do not want to just let the...
There he goes anyway. Yadier Molina, it's a steal.
Well, the Padres didn't care, and I like that, John. I mean, try to use all of your outs. If you stay at first base, it's a ground ball, this game can be over. Now at least you get some more shots at trying to score some runs.
And you got the left-handed hitter with some power on deck, Ryan Klesko.
Yeah. You know, we've talked about La Russa and some of the decisions he's made today that have turned out well. Well, I think part of managing is managing against the worst thing that could possibly happen. Not always managing, to do things the right way, but against the worst thing that could happen. And the worst thing could happen here is they get back in the ball game. So you bring your guy in, Isringhausen, let's finish this off.
Young and Klesko are 2 of Bruce Bochy's best hitters, at least in the past, against Isringhausen. That breaking ball, a little chop to third, and Nunez throws him out. Scoring is Khalil Green, with Jackson holding at second base. So it's an RBI for Young, his 2nd of the game. But the Cardinals don't really care right now. They're just after the outs. So that's the 2nd out, and here is Klesko. The crowd rises. 52,349, and everybody's standing now. The Red Sox and the White Sox getting ready to play ball in just a few minutes in Chicago. And the Cardinals hoping to wrap this one up any moment with an 8-3 lead. And that's ball 1 to Klesko. Klesko has had a .417 lifetime average against Isringhausen. 5 hits, 12 at-bats, including a home run. Klesko 1 for 3 with a walk in this game. And that's a base hit to right field. Walker's got the strong arm, and Damian Jackson will be held up, and they'll get Loretta up there. Walker showed off that arm with a one-hop throw to the plate.
That was interesting there. The first pitch was a cut fastball in, and all of a sudden Klesko moved off the plate before the next pitch. He tried to come in again, and he ripped the base hit to right field. So that's where we'd see how the target's inside again, but Klesko has moved a couple of inches off the plate, and he's able to pull this ball in the hole.
So Klesko made the adjustment. So now Loretta with Giles on deck. And that's a foul ball, third base side. They would still, they're down so far, they would need to get 2 more men on base to be able to send the possible tying run to the plate.
Well, interesting, John. The Padres have 10 base hits today. So do the Cardinals. But the difference is the Cardinals have played long ball, and the Padres have not been able to do the same with runners on.
That's a base hit. Next time made a dive, couldn't get it. Coming in to score is Damian Jackson. Klesko stops at second. Now Giles, the Padres' best hitter, and they're best at getting on base, and if he gets on base, the possible tying run will come to the plate.
And no matter what happens, you know, they're still probably not going to be able to score enough runs, but the point still remains is now they can take something positive away from this game to use on Thursday. Hey, we've out-hit the Cardinals. We actually out-hit them, but we didn't win the ball game. Let's go out and see if we can out-hit them and win a game.
Curveball, high and away to Brian Giles. Giles led the league in getting walks. He walked 119 times. He's got a .423 on base average. Fastball away. 2-0. Giles had never had a hit against Isringhausen in 9 career at-bats against him. Although I would guess he's probably had some walks. The man gets walks.
Yes, he gets walks, and if he walks here, then that'll bring. At 8-4 to bring. Robert still won't have a tying run.
If he gets on, Robert Fick will be the possible tying run.
Right.
He's on deck. Right now they're a grand slam away from tying it up.
And that would set up a grand slam.
That one is drilled to center. That's a base hit. Klesko, he runs through a stop sign and scores easily. Piccolo is trying to stop him. Klesko said, "What for?" So it is 8-5. And Robert Fick will come up as the possible tying run.
Well, again, you know, there are positives. If you're the Padres now, you don't say we came in here and got beat up 8-0. If they would have kept it at that area, then you would have been having a bad feeling about Thursday's game. But today, now that you're back in here, 8-5 with a chance to tie it, you feel good about yourself. You feel better about yourself than you would have.
Wow, how's this for irony? Isringhausen, the closer, comes in, and that's when the Padres get close.
Yeah. Well, in Tony's mind, he was bringing Isringhausen in to shut this down and to finish it off. But obviously, it has not happened that way.
Well, some closers are a lot better when it's 8-5 than when it's 8-2.
Well, I've heard that, John, but if you're coming in the first game of a playoff, my adrenaline's flowing. I don't care what the score is.
Well, now Fick only hit 3 home runs this year, but he's been a home run hitter in the past. And Fick is 2 for 3 lifetime against Isringhausen. Only faced him 3 times, but had hits twice.
Well, if you're Fick, you sit there and you look for a fastball or that cutter and try to drive it. You take the curveball out of the equation on the first pitch. Isringhausen's best pitch is his curveball, but you don't look for that on the first pitch. You look for something you can drive. Not necessarily have to hit a home run. You're trying to get an extra base hit, so you put yourself in the scoring position. That's what he does.
He rakes it. He rakes it into right field. And again, Piccolo stops a sure run from scoring. Loretta would have scored easily. The right fielder Walker was conceding the run, and still Piccolo held up Loretta. Loretta, unlike Klesko, decided to heed his advice.
And this is what I say. You sit there, look for a fastball first pitch, you get it, and you go ahead and hammer it. And smart hitting there by Fick. Now the tying run's on at first base, so they have to. If you're the Cardinals, you have to make sure the ball stays in front of you. There you see Piccolo just telling them to stop. And, you know, looking at it from Piccolo's perspective, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, one more run is not going to matter. We need 3 runs.
It's you and the guys behind you we have to get home.
Right.
The Cardinals bullpen gets busy. Here is Ramon Hernandez, the hottest RBI man down the stretch for the Padres. And it's 0-1, that cutter down and away.
And there is what you have to do if you're Isringhausen. You can't sit there and throw another fastball down the middle. I knew he would do that to Fick, and Fick knew it as well, and he drilled it. But here you got to pitch to this guy.
Well, one of their great games down the stretch, they came from a 5-0 deficit in the 9th inning against Washington and won a game. Same pitch, same result, 0-2.
And he hasn't seen his best pitch yet, which is a curveball. But if you're Isringhausen, I mean, you got to throw him another one. Just make it even worse if that's the case.
8-5 Cardinals. It was once 8-0. 3 runs are in for the Padres here in the 9th, and the bases are loaded. The possible tying run is at first base in the person of Robert Fick. 0-2. And he chased it still further. Strike 3, and the ball game is over.
Well, in my opinion, the Cardinals, you know, they won the game, which is what they set out to do, and that's all that's important. The score is not that important if you're the Cardinals, but you would have felt much better about yourself if you wouldn't have had to struggle in the 9th inning.
8-5 the final. The Red Sox and White Sox are coming up next. Now for Joe Morgan, Gary Miller, and our entire ESPN crew, this is John Miller. Thanks for tuning in. Red Sox, White Sox next. Now back to the studio. Carl Ravitch, Harold Reynolds, John Kruk, and Peter Gammons.